Hello friends, how's everyone doing today? I had the most fun this morning. I recorded a podcast. I was a guest on a podcast. The podcast is called Boobies and Noobies. I met the lovely Kelly Reynolds, that is the podcast host, in a Facebook group that we're both in together, so we digitally met. That group is called Romance Lovers Book Chat. And then I found her on TikTok, and oh my God, she's so much fun. She's got a great point of view. I'm really enjoying listening to the podcast. So if podcasts are your thing, I will put all her information in the description box below so you can follow that. She also uploads the podcast onto YouTube, so you can watch it that way as well. I will of course include in the description box that link as well, so make sure you go follow her. And then on my social media, I will make sure to share when that episode is going to be up. She said hopefully in July. It was so much fun. I met two other really great women. One is a bookstagrammer, and then the other one is an author. We're all readers. It was a lot of fun. I have to say I was a little bit nervous though. And I'm not going to give away the premise of what the podcast is and what I was doing, because that we will save for the day when it's released. So make sure you stay tuned for that. While you're here, I would love for you to consider subscribing and giving the video a thumbs up. When you do that, it not only helps my channel, but it will help this video get shown to more people here on YouTube, which is great for my channel and awesome for the authors that I talk about. And now let's get to the book that we're going to talk about today, which is one of my favorite authors, and I am loving this series. The book is When Wrecked Meets Ruined by EMERY Rose. I've been having trouble saying that. I think it's the W and the R words right together. I'm saying when wrecked, we see, like I'm saying it that way. So I'm glad I got it out at least once the right way. Let me tell you, perfect title for this book. Oh, Be Still My Heart. When Wrecked Meets Ruined is part of the Lost Stars series of Emery's. This is the fourth book in the series. You can read them as standalones, but the characters cross over, so I do always recommend to get like the full story, to read the full series. The first book, When the Stars Fall. When the Stars Fall? That's Adele. Is that right? I'm a huge Adele fan, so I just had to double check that that was the title. Yes, When the Stars Fall, and then When the Storm Breaks. Okay, let me rewind. When the Stars Fall is about Jude and Lila. When the Storm Breaks is about Brody and Shiloh. Ooh, knocked me off my feet. Brody was such a surprise. Love him. And then we have When We Were Reckless, which is Quinn and Jesse. And now we have When Wrecked Meets Ruined, Ryder and Evie. The books are all connected and related because Jude and Jesse are brothers. Brody and Ridge are brothers. And the four of them are cousins. When Wrecked Meets Ruined, I'm trying so hard, you guys, is slow burn. The book starts with Ridge and Evie being seniors in high school. Sometimes I'm not a fan of the YA kind of age group. It's not that I'm not a fan, but if a book stays there, it's just not that it's not my thing. I just prefer when the characters are a little bit older. If we start in the YA age and then we go, which is how this book goes, then I'm cool. The good news is, for me as a reader, that the book is divided into 3 parts. So I knew we were going to get a nice long journey with them, and we did. Before the book starts, Emery put a dedication in. Set the groundwork for these two characters perfectly. That dedication put me in the mind frame absolutely perfectly about this book. Something else that tied into this dedication is the book The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. S.E. Hinton? Is it Hinton? Oh my gosh. I read that book, I don't even know how old I was, sixth, seventh grade. I want to go back and read it so bad. I saw the movie too. That's how old I am. And there's something, that just took me right back as soon as she said that. And like memories of the movie and reading the book. Whew, my heart was already engaged and I hadn't even read the first page. This is the dedication. For the outsiders, for the ones who feel like they don't belong, and for the ones who believe that nothing gold can stay, this book is for you. Okay? Right there. Oh my God. All I want to say is Pony Boy. And if you read the book or saw the movie, you know what I'm talking about. So you know where my heart was right from the get-go. We, of course, met Ridge in When the Storm Breaks. I think a lot of us at that point were like, okay, when's Ridge's book coming? I love Brody. So it was interesting to see his younger brother, to see their interactions in that book. And I could not wait to see if we were going to see more of Brody in this book. And we did. Evie, we met in When We Were Reckless because she's Quinn's best friend. In that book, my heart went out to her because from Quinn's perspective, we know a lot about her and Evie's relationship. So then to come to find that this book is the two of them together, which we got little hints in When We Were Reckless, I was like, oh yes, I am here for this. Ridge is a player. He goes through girls like water. He is a star football player at his high school. He is having trouble settling in a bit in his new life in Texas with Brody. A little Chicago connection. Ridge grew up in Chicago on the mean streets, let me tell you. And Emery got the neighborhood that he grew up in right. Woo, is tough neighborhood. So knowing that, having that realness, and then knowing where he is when the book starts, you understand that he's like a good kid, but this like slow-paced, completely different Texas high school life is kind of throwing him a little bit. He does not take it for granted, but he has a chip on his shoulder because that's how he survived before. We know that Ridge and Brody's mom has passed. That was not a pretty situation. He has lived a life already in his young years. Evie and Ridge are so similar in their lives. Evie's mom had her when she was like 16 or 17. She's not a good mom. She's into drugs. She goes through men like crazy. She's recently had a baby. Evie has become basically the caretaker and mother to her younger sister, who's 2.5, I think she said. No one's taking care of her. Her mom is not taking care of either one of them. There's not a lot of food. She's working really hard. She's trying to fly under the radar because these creepy men are in her house and they start looking at her. It's just not a good situation. She just wants to graduate high school and like get the heck out of Dodge, you know? But then she's got her younger sister. Ugh, my heart just went out to her so much. Their backgrounds are so similar in the fact that they are old souls that had to be tough. They had to be tough really, really fast. This is what Evie says about Ridge. Ridge McAllister. That was his name. He smelled like Christmas. He felt like a dream, but I knew he was trouble. I'd already seen him in action. With a wink and a smile, he had most girls at his beck and call. I wasn't most girls. And she's really not. And this is Ridge about Evie. That was when I saw her. She was at the checkout. The large woman in front of me partially blocked my view, but I could see her profile. Raven black hair, green eyes like a cat's, and cherry red lips that drove me effing wild. Evie Bellamy, queen of the junkyard, the star of my wet dreams, and just about the only girl who wouldn't give me the time of day. And then a little bit later, so proud, so fierce, so defiant, we were so much alike it was scary. And yet she treated me like the enemy. It had been like that from day one. Hate at first sight on her part. For me, it was the opposite. I wanted her more than I ever wanted anyone. I loved their back and forth, how they talked to each other, how they saw each other. and something keeps pulling them together and they're helpless against it. But both of them are like, oof, we know that if we do this, this is like life-changing. And neither one of them are really ready for it, but yet they need something. They both need someone in their lives. Yes, Ridge has Brody and the McAllisters in his corner and behind him, but he's still unsure about all that. He's not sure. He knows his place is there. He's just having trouble finding it, finding the comfort of having that family. And then Evie has nobody in her corner. She doesn't trust anybody. No one's ever taken care of her. The interactions she's had with guys are not good. She's been taken advantage of. She's been, yeah, right? So even though they keep getting pulled together, they're both like, ooh, I don't know. Because if we do this, there's no turning back. They know and they recognize their souls in each other. And it's a lot. At one point, Ridge jumps in and helps her in a situation that could have been catastrophic. And she's so pissed because she's like, I didn't need your help. And he actually gets in trouble for it. And she has a conversation. She's outside the police station and she has a conversation with Jude. Oh, do you hear Macy? And let me tell you, I have to say that in retrospect, I'm okay with Jude these days, but Jude was really hard for me in When the Stars Fall. He redeemed himself a lot in that book, and I know, like, don't get mad at me, don't come for me. I know he had bigger things going on. I know. And I know he was lost. But sometimes I knew my heart wasn't safe with his. And I know, yes, that has changed, but it's really come full circle in this book. I loved him in this book, how he is with Ridge, how he is with Evie, how he is with Lila and Brody. You see the McAllisters in this book. And this conversation really makes her take pause about Ridge. Here's the thing. I thought that was going to be like the beginning, right? No. Emery makes them go through stuff like you would not believe. But that being said, it makes Evie see Ridge in a way she didn't let herself see him before. This is from her perspective. And I had the strange feeling, almost like a premonition, that Ridge and I wouldn't quit, wouldn't give up on whatever this was between us until it runs its course. We would either save each other or destroy each other. They both broke my heart in different places where I was so invested and ready for them to have like some good times. And don't get me wrong, they have the good times. They have beautiful times. But I wasn't sure, is this going to be the right person at the wrong time? You guys know that that's my favorite kind of love story. A real, raw story that's not all rainbows and butterflies, because you know what? Life is not rainbows and butterflies. But when we did get the rainbows and butterflies, oh my God, I was like a swoony, like teary mess. One of my favorite parts was, oh my God, and I have like a gajillion highlights. But one of my favorite parts was when they finally are like, okay, like, are we gonna do this? And if we're gonna do this, we're gonna pretend like it's like not a big deal, right? And you're like, oh yeah, right. And you can read from both of their perspectives. They're both like, oh shit, I'm so screwed. When Ridge was sweet, oh my God, his heart. And this part that I'm gonna share with you had me completely falling head over heels for their story. Ridge decides he is gonna just go for it and kind of not necessarily lay his heart out on the table, but he's really gonna try to get her attention. Things have not been good between them. They keep missing, you know, they keep like one of them throws the ball and the other one can't see it to catch it, you know? And I just realized that was kind of a football reference, sort of. And there's football in this book. This is from Ridge to Evie, and it's from Evie's perspective. Instead of a note, there was an address and a hand-drawn map. A laugh burst out of me. The artwork looked like something a kindergartner would draw. There was a bigger house surrounded by trees that looked like broccoli spears, and a fork in the road that led to a smaller house with a lake behind it. I only knew it was a lake because he'd written lake inside the blob. An arrow pointed to the smaller house with the words, Ridge lives here. Beyond the house were a fence and a few more blobs with 4 stick legs and another arrow, horses. Across the top of the map/drawing was a half sun. I owe you a sunset. At the bottom, he'd written, come and find me. I dare you. And a little bit later, she says, Ridge McAllister was bigger than life. He filled up every room he entered, and I used to think he sucked all the oxygen from it too. But now I felt like I could breathe better when he was next to me. Oh. The parts of the book where they were trying to figure things out and they weren't together tore me up. I understood it all, but I began to wonder, are they going to get their happily ever after? And if they are they going to be together or separate? Oof. I love when I get to a point in the book where I have no idea. I mean, the reason why I read romance is because I need there to be a happily ever after, and 9 times out of 10 there is. 9.5 times out of 10 there is. I love when I get to the point in the story where I am so not sure, because it makes the HEA like even sweeter. Oh my God. Where is it? I can't see it. Evie was a surprise to me at this time. In some ways, I felt like I really got to know her. But Emery is like, nope, not yet, not yet. And I applauded what Emery was giving us with Evie. I loved the growth, but also broke my heart. These are from Evie's perspective. Today is Ridge's 19th birthday. How is it that we're still so young? I feel like we lived 1,000 lives already. I picked up my phone to call him like I'd done 100 times before, but then I remembered he's not mine to love anymore. It wouldn't be fair to barge back into his life and wreck it again. So in the end, I didn't call. I didn't text. I just wished him a silent happy birthday, and I smoked a joint in his honor. And then a little bit later, I was sitting in the window of a coffee shop downtown when I saw him coming out of the cantina and grill. He was riding a Harley, and a girl hopped on behind him. I didn't really get a good look at her, a brunette, maybe a blonde, it didn't matter. Before I could fully process it, he took off down the street, and I thought, well, good for him. He's moved on. And then another one. When I talked to my therapist about Chad Miller, I tried to brush it off, as if it hadn't really traumatized me. But apparently, I've been brushing things off for 18 years, trying to pretend they didn't affect me that deeply. All my life, I did whatever I had to do just to survive. Now that I'm not in survival mode and all my basic needs are covered, I have time to think and reflect. I'd rather not deal with it, but here we are. For now, I'm just taking it one day at a time. And that's where I'm saying that Emery did the most amazing job really getting down into Evie's psyche as a character. To hear her going through therapy and these journal entries and how real these two characters are with each other, I freaking loved it. The fact that she said, now that all my basic needs are taken care of and I'm not in survival mode anymore, I have time to think and reflect. Oh, this is an 18-year-old girl. I mean, she's doing the work. And I have loved that Emery wrote it that way. We do get a happily ever after at the end of this book, thank God. I think, and I have trouble sometimes saying this because I do love Emery's books, I think this one might be my favorite. And that being said, I love Brody and Shiloh. I love them. And Connor and, what's her name? Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. From her first series, second book, Connor and, I love them. Connor will always have a special place in my heart. Ridge and Evie, though, I think they're number one. I think I can say that. Let me know if you have read any of the Lost Stars series or this book in particular. You know, I always love to hear your thoughts. Make sure to come over to my social media and say hello over there. I would love to connect with you. It's Kat Reads Romance on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys. I'll see you very soon. Bye.